What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Cheer Chronicles podcast. It's me, your host, Rosie. And on this podcast episode, we had a complete takeover of the podcast by two amazing coaches. We are just so happy that they came over, took over the podcast, and kind of took over my house and ate all the snacks. So, Coach Kenzie and Coach Gabby, this is their episode. Let's do a quick introduction. So Coach Kenzie has been with Top Gun Southwest Florida for 6 years. Started her love for cheerleading at a very young age when she would make up cheers for her brother's soccer team and force the parents to watch at halftime. That love quickly developed when she started All-Star Cheerleading and has continued to grow throughout her journey. Now, Coach Gabby, she has been a part of Top Gun Southwest Florida for 4 seasons now. Coach Gabby has been in cheerleading for over 10 years, cheering on levels 1 through 7 during her time as an athlete. Since hanging up her cheer shoes, Gabby has developed a deeper passion into helping athletes become the very best version of themselves. Here is the episode, you guys. During this episode, while I was watching back, I haven't laughed this hard in a long time. They have such charisma together, and we are just so excited that they came on the podcast. This one is definitely one of my favorite episodes. Without further ado, you guys, here's the podcast takeover with Coach Gabby and Kenzie.
Come on, y'all.
Hey, and here we go.
Welcome to the Cheer Chronicles podcast with Rosie.
Welcome back to the Cheer Chronicles podcast with Coach Gabby.
And Coach Kenzie. Rosie is on vacation, so we have decided to make ourselves at home and take over for this episode.
So with that being said, let's hop right to the first question.
Period.
Coach Kenzie, can you share your journey into becoming a cheer coach and what inspired you to take this path?
Yeah. So for me, it was super fun because my sisters cheered for Top Gun for a couple of years, and I would always go to their practices, do the private lessons, all things. And then after Summit, I wanted to talk to John about getting a job.
Period.
But their Summit experience did not go as planned that year, so I thought that was not the time. So I took my opportunity I took my opportunity at their banquet that year. And I went up to him and I introduced myself and I said that I would be super interested in working for him. And then a few months later, we got a text. Well, my mom got a text from Coach Kaylee, actually.
Okay.
And it said that they had an opportunity for me to coach Mini 2 with her that year. So I did, and that was my little cowgirl year, and that's how I got
I'll never
started.
forget. That's actually one of my favorite videos
Oh my gosh.
ever.
That year was so fun.
I love the cowgirl theme. I
yeah.
wish I would redo it, but
Yeah.
you can't beat the icons.
You cannot. You cannot shout out the cowgirl year.
Period.
Good. What about you? How did you get going?
So I actually hated cheerleading when I first tried it. I had a friend who did rec cheer and Pop Warner and stuff like that, so I would go and shadow some of their practices, but honestly, like, it was just never for me. Like, I grew up with brothers, so I was just a tomboy, and
so different.
I did wrestling and basketball.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, it was crazy. I did wrestling for like 3 years.
What?
Yeah.
That's actually sick.
So I never really like got into cheer until like middle school, and then like this one friend like really got me into it and just started showing me routines, and then I became obsessed with the music, and I would literally listen to cheer music all day long, going from like 6th to 7th period. I'm like, I'm playing cheer athletics, Panthers
Back
2012, baby, and that was the sign of the times. I started doing competitive cheer in like 8th grade, and then from there I've cheered through multiple programs and different styles of coaches and different coaches. I didn't end up coaching until I went to Cheer Florida, and I was on Sea Warriors that 1 year, and I wanted to coach, and I went to college at FAU, and Robin Katya, the owners of Cheer Florida, were gracious enough to give me a job after I came back to college, and I started in August, and I started coaching Tiny Novice and Mini Prep, and it was so fun, and I've coached Tiny Novice ever since. This is my first year not coaching Tiny Novice, by the way. I miss it.
Yeah.
But from there, did the whole college thing, worked at Cheer Florida, and eventually had to move back home to Naples.
Yeah.
So I was looking for a job, and the new season was coming around, and here it was.
That's so fun.
4 years later, still at TG Southwest, and I love it.
Literally so fun. So from, like, when you worked at Cheer Florida and from here, did you have a philosophy that, like, stuck with you that you wanted to carry around, or one that you've always been passionate about or knew that you were going to carry with you one day?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing for me was that I had a weird experience through, like, growing up through cheer. Like, I started at 13. I wasn't the tumbler girl. I could hold up stunts because I was strong, but, like, I wasn't the go-to athlete.
Yep.
You know, they always asked me to double team and stuff like that. But I had some hard coaches throughout my years. I also had some really great ones, and I just wanted to be the coach that I needed when I was younger.
Yep.
I didn't really realize that until I was on Sea Warriors, and shout out Imani Word. She is one of the best coaches I've ever had in my entire life. Like, she really brought back that love of cheer for me, and I kind of owe a lot of, like, who I am to the lessons that she taught me, and even just, like, the short few years that I was there.
That's so
and
beautiful,
she's not the only one. I've had a lot of, like, great coaches shape, like, what I want to do and what I don't want to do.
Yes.
But most importantly, like, we're in the business of keeping the kids happy and, like, making them want to keep cheering. We don't want to put, like, our either negative experiences or past experiences onto those kids.
Yeah.
And
I've only ever really cheered at, like, super, very small, intimate gyms. So everyone knew everyone. Everyone was family. There was no, like, star student, I guess you could say. It was all very small. So for me, when I started coaching, I wanted to take the time to get to know everyone.
Right.
Because for me, that always stood out. Like, I could walk into any room, any gym, any tumbling class, anywhere, truly, and I knew every single person's name.
100%.
And so for me, that's so important. When kids come in, I, like, grab them at the door. I'm like, oh my gosh, you had a test today.
Right.
What? How did
it makes
go?
the biggest difference too. Like, I feel like that's something as a pair, like, from coaching together, like, that we're really good at is just getting to know the kids. Yeah. But it makes the smallest difference in the kids' day when you go up to them and you remember the smallest details and, like, going back to the being somebody you needed when you were younger. Like, I wish that I had somebody asking about my 100%. Day. Like, I went through some of, like, the toughest times of my life when I was cheering, and, like, if somebody asked me that, honestly, it could have changed, like, something inside of me.
But it, of course, built you up to where you are, and you're literally wonderful. Just not
Love
perfect
you.
yet, like me. No, I was kidding. Ruin the moment.
I'm getting there. It's okay. It's okay.
It's
We
okay.
tell our kids you can never be perfect.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Sorry, she's just naturally a supermodel, guys. I can't.
It is what it is.
I can't.
It is. I love when we use that for the kids, though. We'll be like, it's okay, guys. We're not expecting perfection. You can't be like Coach Kenzie and Coach Gabby.
Right. They just could.
They eat it up. They eat it up. They could never.
Kenzie, I love you. How do you foster a positive team culture and build trust among your athletes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly think it comes down to getting to know your kids. Like, you have to know their strengths. You have to know their weaknesses. You have to nurture their mental health as much as you do their physical health. And I know we're going to get to a question like that later, but it really just comes down to that. Like, you have to take care of them up here as much as you're doing down here. Right. You cannot grill them and make them run and do this and do that and do this and do that and expect them to just walk out fine. Right. You have to follow up with a, hey, you absolutely crushed that. Amazing job. Are you doing okay? Or let's get water and let's catch up.
So,
but I learned a lot of that from you. A lot of it from you.
I love you.
I love you.
I was just about to say that that's something that we've made a point to do in our teams, just to make sure that the kids are, like, mentally well off, because that comes back to us. Like,
100%.
When we give them that, they give us the product that we want ultimately.
Yeah. And something we talked about at staff training was, like, leading by example and taking care of yourself as well. Like, if you're sleeping all day, not eating enough, not doing anything that's good for your body, and then you just show up and expect to coach this, like, high caliber level and, like, be able to keep up with what they're doing, how, like, that's just that's not gonna work. But I remember you mentioned that at staff training.
So at staff training, I did a little, like, roundtable talk with the staff about mental health, and it was more so geared to soul coaching, like coaching to the kid's heart, making sure that you are not only taking care of yourself for you, but yourself for them. I saw this video on Instagram that really inspired me, and it was a quote. Not sure what the guy's name is, but I think he was talking on like a podcast or something like that, and he was like, the greatest thing I can do for you as your friend is take care of me.
Yes.
And I adopted that really my first year coaching at Top Gun. That was a really hard year, and I grew a whole lot, but I found myself saying all these things to the kids that were like highly hypocritical, like, okay, you need to be eating well, you need to be working out outside the gym, you need to be doing this, and this to make sure that you are successful. And I was laying in bed rotting all day. And that's reality. Like, when you face with your own mental health struggles, a lot of the time when cheer is your safe space, that's the only thing I could get out of bed and do all day long.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah.
But over the years, like, through individual wise and like coaching pair wise, like we've done a really good job at like making sure that we are taking care of ourselves and setting our own boundaries within each other, the teams, the gyms, our own personal relationships, and taking the time to really nurture ourselves and like make sure that we're okay so that we can go to cheer and be okay and get the product that we want.
And that like kind of leads into the next thing that we're going to talk about the qualities that are essential for being a good cheer coach. And I really truly think it's like being a good friend, being a good listener, and being self-aware. Yes. You have to be self-aware. Well, first of all, the kids will humble you. Yeah. They will humble you. Humbled. No ifs, ands, buts about it. They will humble you. Period. But you also have to be okay with them calling you out. Like, if they come up to you and they are brave enough to say, hey, that really hurt my feelings, take a step back, let your guard down, own up to it. Or if you don't want to own up to it, because, I mean, some kids, you could say anything and it's taken a certain way, but understand where they're coming from and give them some sort of leverage. Right. Like, you have to be empathetic. You have to be a good listener. You have to be a good friend.
I mean, you really do, and you really have to, like, ego check yourself, like, multiple times. Either a practice or, like, a day, and, like, even in a certain conversation, like, I found myself almost, like, letting myself coach as, like, the coach that coached me before. So it like really took a long time for me to like break that out of myself and like make sure that I am putting forth my best foot and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Coach Kenzie, so as we get back into asking each other questions, can you describe a memorable moment or success story from your coaching career?
Yeah. I mean, it's when you've been doing it for, I think I've been doing it for 5 years now, which sounds like not a lot, but it feels like a lifetime.
Like forever ago.
It feels like a lifetime. There's so many memorable moments, but I feel like the most recent one is definitely when Snipers got the golden buzzer in North Carolina at Cooach.
I don't think I'll ever forget that either.
No, seriously. I think it was so funny because everyone had so much pressure going in on day one, and they were so focused on the golden buzzer that no one was authentic in their routines. Like, they weren't performing the same, they weren't warming up the same. It didn't feel like our normal way that we train them. Right. So going out day one, it was okay. It was just a little bit shaky. But then day two, it was just like, forget the buzzer, forget the distance, just worry about being snipers. And we had a fun warm-up. We were goofy. We were silly. We were going mat to mat, cheering on other teams. It was honestly so rewarding. And it was so early in the morning, so we didn't think that last golden buzzer was going to go to us. So the pressure was completely gone.
Y'all snatched.
So when we got to that dance, and they were just having so much fun. We were jumping up and down. The parents were breaking the barrier behind us, like jumping up and down. It was so fun. And then when the streamers went off, like, it was
goosebumps. It's like a weird, like, full body experience. The way it kind of just like erupts. Like, when moments like that happen, and like that dopamine rush that you get is it is like a cheer high. Like, if you've never experienced it, it is like truly like its own special feeling. Like, whether it's winning or like a big moment like that, like a golden buzzer, even just like small wins throughout the gym, and it's just like, it's so addicting, and it makes you want to go back every single year.
And then obviously my favorite success story is our magic little pistols. I think we could do a podcast episode just dedicated to that
about the pistols.
But they're by far, I think, my favorite success story that I've ever had.
My most favorite year of cheer. Ever, and I mean, like, last year was a great year, and definitely 100%. Was like extremely memorable. Another memorable year of us coaching together, but like, Pistols they were our babies, and they started off really slow, and our climb was small, and it just ended up with a beautiful routine, and
Literally.
it was magical.
Yep.
Like, we didn't win, but I think that we won something that was way greater, and it meant so much more to us. Like, even just getting second place, like, we were crying, screaming, laying on the ground.
Bawling on the stage.
Pistols, man.
That was so fun.
What do you feel like about pistols was like, let's go into the hardest thing. So, like, about pistols, like, what was the hardest, like, moment or, like, hump for you to get over?
I can't decide between the physical aspect of it, like the numbers, like our lack of tumbling numbers, or if it was the mentality, because the year prior, the only level 2 team that they had was Snipers, which was junior 2,
and we coached them together,
which we did. Period.
Slayed.
Another good year, literally. Period. That was their thing. Period. And then you go to the next year, and there's a junior 2 and a youth 2, and the junior 2 was stacked. It was fabulous. It was wonderful. It was huge. And then we had our tiny mighty pistols, and it was you and I, and we had 15 to 19 kids on that team with maybe 8 consistent back handsprings.
Or ones that we found that were like real routinable at the moment. And we're talking and tryouts happen and it's June, and we got 8 kids with maybe almost feet together back handsprings.
And it was also like fresh off injury, new to the level, so getting them to the standard that we wanted, as well as nurturing them through the process of being on a level 2, that was probably the hardest part for me.
And youth too is like, it's not a weird age, but it's the age where a lot of those kids are like coming into their own and finding their confidence.
Oh my gosh,
and it's like, it's not like that automatic confidence that you get from being on that mini team where it's like, I'm mini and I'm awesome and I'm the best and I can do a back walkover, period. You're like, okay, like, I'm not so sure about myself. I'm literally like in 6th grade or middle school, like going through all these new experiences for the first time, and like, we almost become like an older sister to these kids, and youth is definitely one of my favorite age ranges to coach, but it was one of the hardest because we have kids that are entering high school and kids that are 7.
Yes, literally. And that was us. That was literally us. And I have youth 2 again this year, so I'm like going through those same battles, and I can't help but be like nostalgic, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you remind me of our little so-and-so who we had, or like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be the next so-and-so back spot that I had. Like, I lived through some of those kids, like we didn't live through our pistols,
like,
but
keeping the legacy on and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, but that's definitely one of my like favorite success stories.
Pistols, I'll never forget that year. I oftentimes watch that video back, and especially before hard times, like AK3, like I would watch the Pistols video, like I think I watched it multiple times before All-Star Worlds or any competition, or like whenever we had a big send-off or things like that. I would watch the Pistols routine day 1 from All-Star Worlds, and I would just feel something inside. And to go from where we started into where we ended, it was 2 different teams.
It was crazy.
That same year, too, we had crazy competition. Shout out Top Gun Orlando, Y2K. Y2K.
You kept us going.
Coaches were Tanner and Bianca that year. And listen, we're like 2 little, not little girls, but like we're 2 little girls. We're young,
little girls
from
doing our thing.
Fort Myers, Florida, and Naples, Florida. And we coach against and with some of like the greatest coaches in the entire world.
And honestly, so kind too. Like, they were great competition. I know it's hard when the kids are young and like they don't get that competition aspect, but when you get to talk with these people that you're competing against, and they talk about their journey and then we talk about our journey, and we get to bond over certain things, they were such good competition.
Seriously, and like we would compare score sheets and give each other scores, and it became like a friendly thing. Like, oh, you got us this time. We'll get you next time, kind of thing.
Like, hope you hit.
Like, hope you hit. You got this. Love you. But like,
and then walk away and be like,
literally. But we literally, Pistols and Y2K went back to back all season long, and it was a fun season. Like, it really made our kids work 10 times harder. And when we got that first win, it kind of really validated that journey that we were going on, and like through all the ups and downs, because trust me, like, it wasn't all like growth and like everything just got great. Like things would get great, and then we'd have a setback.
An injury or a mental block, or the hurricane was that year, wasn't it? That hurricane was that year. I completely forgot about that.
And we had kids on our teams who lost their houses. And it was honestly some of the scariest experiences of our life. Like, we don't have power for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and like I'm grateful enough to have been in a good spot in Naples, but like there were so many of our families who were displaced or like lost roofs, lost homes. Like it was unimaginable, and like the fact that our gym recovered and then did so well that season at All-Star Worlds was like the cherry on top. And we rode that high all through last season.
Long. Yeah. No, that's like the perfect example, like how it literally just bounced back and forth over and over and over again.
For sure.
But
definitely one of our most rewarding experiences ever of coaching.
It was definitely difficult, but it was by far the most rewarding, I think.
And you know what? To kind of bounce back off of that, like, there's one thing that Coach Buckley said to me that I'll never forget. It was our first year coaching snipers, and we were kind of in a similar situation in the summer where we had a whole team, and like a lot of the kids were really talented, and some of them like needed help and needed work, and we were kind of just stuck because we had a modge podge of level 2 abilities, like very low or very high.
Yeah, that was the only one that they had. That was the only option to go to. Literally was that level 2.
So I went to Coach Buckley and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, we're struggling. Like, we need to move these kids off the team. Like, I was freaking out, and all she said was, your job is to make these kids better. And that statement right there, like, also changed my coaching philosophy, and like it ties into every single question we've asked each other before. Like, our jobs at the end of the day are to make the kids better. 100%. And we took that statement and we literally ran with it. And we will go to any end of the earth to make sure that our kids get better.
Got better. And that it didn't stop there. It literally it's carried with us since then.
I agree.
So I know we talked about a couple of things that were like difficult for us, but is there a specific big challenge that you face as a cheer coach, or something that like you work through now, or how you overcome it?
I think my biggest challenge in life is time management, and I like to overextend myself like way more than I should, but that's one thing that I've definitely gotten better with. It's the long days, like during the week. The practices itself aren't really hard, and it's like a little bit stressful, but it's not like I go to cheer because I enjoy cheer. Like, I wouldn't do it if I didn't like it. That's when I would take a step back. But when I'm at cheer, it's whatever. But it's working like 6:30 in the morning to 10 p.m. at night, and then I live an hour away. So I don't get home till 10:45, 11 p.m. sometimes, and eat, shower, go to sleep, and then you wake up, and we both work at high school. So like our schedules are very similar.
You're up bright and early before the sun. Yeah.
And then you get home and the sun's dark, you haven't eaten, you haven't washed your face, you need to go to the bathroom. TMI. We may have to cut that out, but that's okay. Regardless of that, it's just the long days. Like,
100%.
If I can get through the long days, I'm good. And then when I get in the summer, life is just at peace.
Breeze.
It's breezy, baby. Is that, like, something you would say has been a big challenge for you, too?
I literally could not agree more with you. Mine is, like, I preach to the kids that I want them to put in the extra work. Like, you should be doing this at home.
Right.
But I don't even have the time. Well, I've been better this year. Let me backtrack. Period. Thank you. But checking their workouts or checking the Flyers flex posts. Like, I would be like, you need to be posting. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing this at home. And then Susie Joe Bob would never post a workout, and would I know?
Nope.
But it's honest.
I've gotten way better. Well, this season, because
this season 100%, and maybe it's the summertime, but this is when they should be doing more, and this is when we should be doing more. Like, we have the luxury of having the summer to do more, to put in more, to give more. And so I think I've really tried to take a step back this summer and focus on that. So I'm consistently checking who's doing workouts. I'm consistently checking the Flyers, like keeping up, and so. But yeah, I think that's one of my hardest challenges is dividing my time the same way you do.
Yes.
And being consistent, because consistency is so important.
And I honestly, so the year we coached Pistols, like, I never really got it because I was coaching at Top Gun still, obviously, but I had my day job, like, wasn't as, like, intensive. Like, it was, like, an 8 to 4, you know, like, it was easy for me to go from that and then go to cheer. But I never really got what you were going through until I started working at a high school. And it was just like, why do I feel that inside right now? like,
oh, hi, everyone.
I was living on Celsius, and shout out Starbucks because I was getting that iced oat milk shaken espresso every day.
The best.
Every
One of
day.
the best.
But I think as a whole, like, yes, the time management part is hard, but I think one of the hardest things is something that we can't help but do is
yes.
overly emotionally invest ourselves
Yeah.
into the kids and into the athletes. Like
100%.
when they hurt, we hurt.
So
When
bad.
they cry, we cry.
Yep.
And speaking about crying,
while we're at it,
crying, we do that collectively together a lot. And we have had a shared experience at All-Star Worlds when it was Pistol's year, and it was, day 2?
It was after day 2 performance, yeah. After being in first place, once they combined A, B, C, D, E, F, and G divisions for youth 2, we were still in first place once they combined us. And we had a very unfortunate, never, ever, ever happen stunt fall. And we knew that if they hit, they would have won the whole thing. And so, post-performance, we gave them our love and then sprinted to a bathroom stall.
Right.
And we cried on the floor together.
And
Story time.
it was very intimate. It was very bonding.
It was so beautiful.
And now anytime we need to cry, we just go to the bathroom and sit on the floor together.
Bathroom?
Yeah, you ready? I think showing my emotions like out front to the kids, I got a lot better at last year, for sure. But I mean, it's still hard. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve.
So much
like,
so, yeah.
if I need to cry, like the tears are coming out, and I just can't save it for the pillow. It's just happening right now.
It's happening right now. It happens.
For sure.
But just as much as we struggle, like the next thing that we're going to talk about is what do you give athletes who struggle with confidence or performance anxiety?
Oh my gosh.
Because we've had a couple of kids that we've definitely worked on this or worked through them or worked through it with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
But
I think going back into when I grew up into cheer, I wasn't like that athlete, you know, I was kind of just like strong and good at studying and like went where they needed me, but
oh
no. Spooky edition.
It's the Halloween version.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
So, sorry about that. After a little mishap, we are back here at the Cheer Chronicles, speaking about lights going out, speaking about all things scary and spooky. I got a little story time for y'all. Okay, so back when I cheered at a notable brand gym, I'm not going to say the name, but they are no longer open. If y'all can figure it out, put 2 and 2 together.
Context clues.
It's not that hard. Okay, but they're no longer open. And when I was at this gym, we had a running joke that we had a cheer ghost. And this cheer ghost went from brand to brand. Because let me tell you, like, there were like 5 different brands that went through this one location in Naples, Florida of cheerleading. Okay, it's not that hard. You can kind of put 2 and 2 together. Okay. So we had this cheer ghost that kind of followed us around. Whenever bad things would happen, or like lights would go out at practice, or the lights would flicker, or stunts would fall, we would blame it on the cheer ghost. And her name is Jenna.
Jenna the ghost girl.
So Jenna follows me to every gym, and whenever things go bad, it's always Jenna's fault.
We blame her.
And sometimes I just tell the kids that Jenna's real, and she was at practice with us right now. And yeah, that's just a little funny story time for y'all.
Story time.
And back to the podcast. So before the lights went out, we were just talking about what advice do you give athletes who struggle with confidence and performance and anxiety.
Yeah.
And we were talking about a few of the kids that we've had on Pistols. But going back into that, like, I had a kind of like a weird upbringing growing up and wasn't like a natural born cheerleader, but I kind of always just like had a spark for performance. I did musical theater, like I loved performing, I loved singing. So I kind of just told myself to fake it till I make it, and that like really didn't affirm in me until like I was in college at FAU and I saw a little ad on Instagram for a spot that was open on Sea Warriors. Okay. And I was like, you know, I've never been on a world's team. I've stunted level 5, but like casually, not anything crazy. And I just decided to text them and hit them up, and like I didn't know at the time like what that did for my confidence, but it kind of just affirmed in me that I could do anything that I put my mind to, like 100%. Regardless if at the moment like I believe that I can, like as long as I have that one little spark of like fake it till you make it, you can do anything. 100%. That's what I tell the kids. Like obviously like we don't want their confidence to be inauthentic, but 100%. Like a lot of the times like nobody's born with confidence, so it's like that's a skill that you have to practice, but you also have to be taught. You have to have one person or a few people that give you the safe space and the time to either develop that or give you the tools to do it.
100%.
And that's something, like, we've gotten so good at.
Yeah. Something that I thought about when I was reading this question was the positive affirmations. When we, like, for a lot of the kids, if it's a tumbling confidence issue, I'm like, don't touch that line until you're ready. You get on that line, you tell yourself you're throwing, and you're going to throw it.
Right.
Do not touch that line until you are throwing that skill.
Right.
Tell yourself that you're going to throw it. Talk yourself through it. Tell yourself that you are capable of throwing the skill, that you are good enough to land the skill. Or if it's a performance issue, you are the most beautiful girl in the world. Let everyone look at you. You are the best boy that cheer ever had. Give me what you got. Dig deep. Show me you can do it. And we make them talk us through it, or make them say it back to us. Or even having a list. Like, we did that one year. We had a board where they would have to read these affirmations. Or if they were struggling, we were like, bring it in, sit down, look at the list that we made you. Everyone read them. Read number 2. And they would have to read it together. And I think that is so healthy. And that, I think that really helps a lot of the kids when they're struggling with confidence. And even just the performance part of it.
It's all mental. Like, everything that we do in cheerleading is mental. So if we're just coaching the physical, say, like, we're yelling at kids and we're just yelling at them to what to do.
We're drilling the skill,
Right. We're not getting that other 50%, which is they need to be so internally positive to themselves that if they're not, that's when tumbling blocks happen. That's when stunts fall. That's when teams don't mesh well. And it truly is all mental. And I love that you brought tumbling into that, because one thing that I love doing in privates is I love working with kids with mental blocks because I love being that, like, biggest cheerleader for them and kind of just giving them the tools that they need to rebuild their own self-confidence. And a lot of the time it just is positive self-talk. Like, if you're talking to yourself, right? Or you're talking internally to yourself, and all that you're saying is, I suck, I can't do this, I'm gonna fall on my face, or I'm gonna fall on my neck. 9 times out of 10 that's what you're gonna do. So if you kind of set that or change that narrative beforehand, you're like, okay, even if it's scary, like, validate the fear. Even if it's scary, I can still do this. I can still be successful. I can still land this tumbling pass. And you know what? If I mess up, that's okay. And we give our kids the space and the environment to make 100%. A mistake and learn from it.
And if you have to tell yourself too, like, if you're going to push them physically, you have to push them mentally as well. Like, push them mentally in a positive direction. Let me clarify. Like, if they're going to practice all the physical aspects, they have to practice healthy mental aspects as well.
I agree.
The positive affirmations, the reiterating that you can and you will. The just as much as you're doing conditioning, you have to touch the physical part of it.
And I think our area has a lot to do with that as well. Like, where Southwest Florida is, like, we feed like 3 or 4 different counties of cheer, and there are other competitors that we have in the area, but we see a lot of those kids come in and out of our doors, and the socioeconomical difference of a lot of our athletes is, like, very large. Like, we deal with a lot of athletes who are extremely low income, and we deal with athletes who are extremely high income.
They don't have those same worries,
Right. So as we're talking about building confidence in athletes, we're also having to be, like, their second set of eyes, their second set of parents, like teaching them not just cheer lessons, but life lessons as well. And we have a lot of kids that deal with anxiety and mental health issues for that reason, because, like, we can't change the circumstance that we were brought up in or grown in. So we, you know, like, speaking of other gyms that are bigger than us, or even within our own name brands, we may not deal with the same struggles.
Yeah, so we don't control who walks through the door, but we control the way they walk out.
I love that you just said that. That is amazing.
But it's so true. It really is. Like, they can come to us X, Y, and Z version of themselves, but leave a completely different person, a completely different version of themselves, one that's confident, one that loves life again, one that's getting better in school, one that's a better brother, sister, one that's a better mom. Like, I know I leave the gym a better wife because of what I've learned or what I've grown through.
100%. And though I'm not fortunate enough to be in a relationship at the moment. It'll come. We're not getting into all that.
Yeah, right.
But I find myself thinking the same thing, that because of the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm teaching the kids, it reflects back onto me. Like, I'm better in my other jobs because of it. I'm a better sister. I'm a better daughter. And
a better communicator. Like, that is something I've learned so much.
So heavily. Because, like, we're 24-year-old girls.
Yep.
Okay, we're 24-year-old teenage girls.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Teenage girls.
When we're having to confront people, I don't want to.
No.
I don't want to do it.
It's so hard.
I don't want to talk about the problems,
Yes.
and it is
Yeah.
hard. But that is something that we definitely got better at last year.
So good. Yeah.
And a lot of the time, like when, say, like a cheer parent comes up to you, like they don't even like want to like hurt your feelings or like just come for you as a person. Yeah. They want to like be validated, kind of like we want to be validated. Yes. Yeah. And like that's something I learned heavily last year, and I was just like, oh, they just want to understand. Yeah. Like there are certain things that we like reach out to Buckley for, and we just want a second opinion or to understand. And that's all. Or to feel validated in what we're doing. Like, exactly.
Did I answer this correctly? Is this what you would want your staff member to say to a parent or a customer or an athlete or however you view them?
100%.
Oh, this one's a good one. This next part. All right, Gabs. Can you share a funny or a memorable story from your time coaching that always makes you smile?
Okay, so story time. We are back at it again with another story time with Coach Gabby. So one time, this was my first year at Top Gun Southwest, by the way. Oh, okay, I was brand new. And I was like, oh, my round off is so good. And when I tell you, okay, it was a good round off. Okay?
Preface. Her approach, great.
Like, you would have thought it was Simone Biles on that spring floor.
No doubt. And
I had the best, like, I had a great rebound. Was I tumbling out of that? Was I tumbling out of that? No. I swore to myself. After Summit 2017, I was never airborne tumbling again. Do not ask me to throw a tuck. Do not ask me to throw anything. I am not tumbling ever again. Okay? So, but I was a fan of round-offs. So during one of Coach Kenzie's practices, before our shared practice together, they were on a water break, and I was like, yo, I'm going to go to this youth 3 team and challenge them on my round-off. I was like, I'm going to show them how good my round-off is. And I was like, okay, I was like, feeling a little hyped up. I was gassing myself up.
A little shimmy.
I was ready to go. I was like, this, okay. And I went into my round off. And it was so good. And then it wasn't.
It was the rebound.
The rebound was great. And then my shoulders went back and my feet flew up and came back down on the side of my foot. And I dislocated my ankle. And all I could do was hold my foot and look for Coach Gianna. And I was like,
she's holding her dangling foot. And she's like, Gianna. And so Gianna's like, oh, guys. Kenzie. He goes running to get me. And so I forget what I was doing at the time, but I was like, get off the floor. And so I go and I hold this like dangling ankle by the calf. I'm like, and thankfully, shout out to Jason Lane, my dad.
Her papa saved my life.
Yep. He just so happened to be at the gym that night. And so I told one of the girls to go grab him from the front office. And he had his buddies on the phone, super quick. He had the medics there, like, no issues, super fast. And they came and took care of Gabby. But yeah.
And then, okay, listen, they were giving me all the fun stuff when I was through the IVs.
Yep.
I called my mom. Shout out, Mom, okay, if you're listening. I called my mom and I was like, Mom, I just dislocated my ankle. And she was like, no, you didn't. Can they take you? Can you like walk into the car? Why are you getting an ambulance? And I was like, I can't.
But she's like giggling. She's like, no promise.
Now I'm going in the ambulance.
And then
Mom.
She's like, oh, they gave you medicine.
Yeah, but shout out Mom. She came and picked me up, and she was an angel during all that time because I was in a cast and a boot for like 3 or 4 months. So long, yeah. I did a lot of things in that boot.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Camp Geneva in that boot. I went to a music festival in that boot. Yeah. I went to a competition, I think, in that boot.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, me and my boot, we were together forever. Mm-hmm. And I drove with my left foot.
Yep. So don't
for
say
3
you can
months,
never do
I drove with my left foot. So never say never, baby.
Never say never, baby.
You can put your mind to anything you want to do.
Yeah. I don't have any like super funny stories. I remember... It's a running joke, but it's not a joke, that I pee my pants. Like, I genuinely do pee my pants when I get excited. And if I'm jumping up and down, I actually genuinely will pee myself. And so one year for one of our send-off gifts, in a beautiful little yellow goodie bag, I opened it up and it was a bedazzled diaper. And it had glitter
Wasn't
on
that
it.
Sniper's year?
It was Sniper's year, our first year together.
Aww.
And it literally had my name on it and everything, and it was so beautiful. And it's still in my closet to this day because I won't get rid of it. Have I worn it? No, I will not wear it.
She's saving it for a special occasion.
I'm saving it for a special occasion. There you go.
Just in case she feels a little tinkle coming up.
Yeah, exactly. But I do indeed pee my pants, and I think the kids love it. And
I'm sorry.
I think they love it.
When you pee your pants, they do because
do.
they're like, Coach Kenzie, you pee your pants.
And they'll be like, you gotta make her pee. You gotta make her pee.
When Coach Kenzie pees her pants, that's how you
It's
know
a
it was
sign.
good.
It is. But I think that's super fun. There's multiple memories that I have where they'll be doing a full out and I'm jumping up and down holding like myself because I'm like, I just peed everywhere.
But I think as a whole, like, we have so much fun.
So much
like,
fun.
At practice,
Yeah.
we do the hard work, obviously,
Yes.
okay? Like, our teams do
Yes.
well. Like, we don't have to sugarcoat all
Yeah.
that or go
Yeah.
over all that. You know, you'll figure it out.
100%.
But we have so much fun, and it's just,
do.
like, us bouncing off each
Yes.
other and just, like, being
Yeah.
ourselves and, like, making funny jokes.
And we have such a good group of people that we work with too. Like
Right.
I like to say we carry a lot of the energy. I'm not gonna lie. No, I was kidding.
But shout out us.
We do shout out us. We do bring a lot of the energy, but we are surrounded by so many good people
Right.
that we all feed off of each other. So if we come into the gym and we're not feeling like 110%,
Right.
but we're feeling like maybe just 102,
Right.
we get 115 by the end of the day because we're all just running around cheering each other on and bouncing off of each other, and it's so
We
fun.
feed off of each other
It's so fun.
much.
Yeah.
And it is one of the, like, I mean, I've only worked in cheerleading for 2 places,
Yeah.
but, like, I love Cheer Florida and I love my experience there,
Yeah.
but, like, Top Southwest is a family.
It's a
so, like,
different- yeah.
I can, like, come into
Yes.
the gym and know that, like, my girls got my back.
Yes.
Like, the
Oh,
other
yeah.
coaches got my back.
Yep.
Who's got my back.
Yeah.
And I could be having a horrible crap day.
Yep.
And then you guys will just come in and make it better.
It's
and,
so
like,
much better, yeah.
I know that I can be myself.
Yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
the gym is a safe space, not just for the kids, but for the coaches
For us,
too.
heck
Like,
yeah. Oh my
like,
goodness.
There's
yes.
so many times where I find myself like behaving a certain way in
Yeah.
cheer and like just being extra and like doing
Yeah.
the most, but like I'll go out to a public setting and I'm
Yep.
just like this
Yep.
because I don't know, like I can really just get out
Yeah.
my shell when I'm at practice or like
Yeah.
around the girls or like just the gym at whole. Like the minute I step in, like my
Yeah.
essence gets better, my aura goes up like
Oh.
1,000 points.
Would you say that's your favorite part of coaching cheerleading? Is like the energy and the way you can like change a room?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. That and making the kids better.
Okay.
For sure. Energy has a lot to do with like what you're gonna get out of the kids, but
Oh, yeah.
also like your energy determines kind of how practice is gonna
Yep.
go. Growing that has been one of my
Oh, yeah.
favorite experiences about
Yeah.
like my personal self-growth
Yeah.
journey. But ultimately it's like it's
Yeah.
making the kids better, but watching them grow up is
So much
like
so.
it makes my heart like so warm. Like I feel like I'm
Burst.
watching my little brother grow up all over again,
Yeah.
and like it's small
Yeah.
and it's significant. I just like I feel
Yeah.
so fulfilled in that area of my life.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to have kids because like I've seen
You
like,
have a 300 at Top
right
Gun
like
Southwest.
right exactly like
Yeah.
I feel like I've already seen like
Yeah.
so many kids grow up and like
100%.
it's making me feel old.
Emotional.
What
yeah.
about you though? Like what do you say is your favorite part?
I think I've learned that I have so much control of the energy any room I walk in, but it's fun teaching that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't get to be on the stage with the kids. Like
Right.
we can control their practice environment and we could be the energy they need for that last full out at the end of a practice after they've done 3 and they just really need us. But you cannot give them that when they're on stage.
Right.
So teaching them that they are in control of their energy and watching them change a dynamic and change the situation into a positive one is
Right.
so beautiful.
I agree.
Even kids that we don't know, like, I mean, I work at the high school too, and you just you work with the cheer team at the high school as
I
well. And watching them change a crowd or them change the direction of where a game is going, especially during basketball when you're in such a small room.
Right, and everything happens
That's
so
so
fast.
fun.
Oh, I'll never
Yes.
forget playing Mariner in football last year.
Oh
That was a
yeah.
great time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Not for us, but I mean, but even for basketball games, like sitting in the stands and it's dead and it's quiet and our guys are just really defeated and they are beat up, and you give them these kids, I'm like, hey, you control this room right now, step it up, let's go, you control the energy. All of a sudden everyone starts running a little faster, all of a sudden the student section starts screaming a little louder. Teaching kids that they are in control of that kind of energy and they have that power to control and help people, oh my gosh, it's so fun.
And make it as contagious as possible.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it.
Since we're talking about kind of like our coaching and like what our favorite part of like coaching is, like what does a typical practice look like under your guidance or like our guidance together? Like what did it look like?
Well, Top Gun definitely has a specific way of doing things because we want the kids to be as successful as possible. So we like to touch all aspects of cheerleading. Right now, what we're doing is we're starting with like a little warm-up to get you going to music, get the rhythm and the vibes going, and then we go and touch stunts. So we go through a stunt progression, work on the basics, make sure everyone's touching every aspect of the stunt is supposed to look like. After that, people kind of switch these two up, but we definitely, for me, I move into tumbling next. So I like to do a tumbling progression, make sure they're stretching all parts of the body that they need to be, going through the basics, and then do a jump warm-up. I know for one of my teams, I combine the two, so I do all my tumbling warm-ups and my jump warm-ups together. So I do like a little mini routine vibe. Yeah. So I'll do like the partner stretches that we do, and then I'll immediately go back out, leg lifts. And we do our leg lifts, our kicks, and all the things. But yeah, I like to touch all aspects of it.
I might try that next time.
Yeah. But even if you don't have a lot of people for stunting, go through the basics.
Right.
I like to switch it up a little bit, and sometimes we'll have like the bases be a back spa for fun.
I agree. Yeah. I personally also prefer to do tumbling first, and I know that's usually what we have done.
Yeah.
But I do kind of like the switch up, and it really just depends, like, from team to team, like, what they need more of or what they need to do fresher.
Yes.
Like, for SWAT this year, like, doing our stunting first is definitely more beneficial because that's where we need a little bit more of that love. Yeah. Whereas in tumbling, like, we are fortunate and so blessed enough, like, to have dedicated and extremely committed athletes to that team.
That's such
They come in extra, they do the privates, like, they do what we ask them to do outside of practice, tumbling-wise, workout-wise, to whereas, like, if I need to spend 10 or 20 minutes less on the tumbling,
you can afford it.
I can afford it. Yeah. And I'd rather do that so that the stunts at the end of the day could look good.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, we can only stunt really at practice, but they can tumble and they can do all that individually on their own time.
Oh, yeah.
And we thoroughly encourage that.
And they thrive when they're in those little groups.
Right.
Like, your energy from across the gym is so infectious. Like, we're doing basic hang drills and you guys are doing all of your fun skills and our kids are like, oh my gosh, that's so fun.
And it gives them, so like, the little kids around that are watching, like, something
to look at, too. Yeah. I love that. I love that you guys do that at your practices.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But going back to the tumbling thing first, we did that, like, pretty much every year because our kids did better when we kind of did all the hard things first and then went into the easy
Finish something
stuff.
they were good at.
A lot of athletes, I feel like, don't really thrive or, like, don't really do well when they, like, okay, they're really high energy in the warm-up and all the pre-stuff, and then they go slow into stunting.
And then it's like...
And then pick right back up and do the tumbling and get excited and build all that adrenaline up again.
Oh, yeah.
Some athletes don't thrive that way and, like, aren't good at getting themselves hyped up back into that setting.
Yeah.
But some athletes are always on go mode and can just do whatever you want when you ask them
whatever
to.
you need. Yeah.
So, like, I find doing the more higher energy stuff first way better. Even though they may be more tired for stunting, it gets all, like, the harder, more elements out of the way.
There you go. That's a good mindset. I like that. Period. And I mean, obviously the way we practice is helping us with this next question, but how do you prepare for, like, your teams for these major competitions, both physically and mentally? Because I mean, we talk about both and we have talked about both today.
I think physically, let's start there. Our tying back into the whole practice thing, like when we get a routine and we are cleaning and starting to go full out, we train our kids to every aspect of the routine. So when we are first learning and getting our choreography, we'll start with just cleaning sections. So, like, making sure everybody knows where they're going, knows the choreography, is doing it pretty clean to the point where it's like, okay, we feel comfortable enough to do that with skills. And then we'll transition into doing sections and stuff like that, which we find is some of our most beneficial work that we do, even if it's at the beginning of the season or throughout the season, where we can kind of, like, train the kids back to back on like, okay, we need to make sure this is clean, this is clean, and this is clean, and you have to hit it 3 times.
Yeah. We also don't let them compete with a lot of what ifs. Like if something is a what if or a please, we don't let it get to that point. We would, because it doesn't even just affect that one section, it carries into the entire team. So a lot of times, and I know a lot of people at Top Gun, a lot of our co-coaches, we all do that. I think we're all in the same, where there's not a lot of opportunity for them to go on stage and just pray it hits.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
We don't do that.
No,
we don't
especially in 2024.
Yeah, not a lot of what ifs. Not a lot of what ifs.
And we will easily and happily take things out of a routine if it is not working so that it looks cleaner. Regardless of if our score is going to reflect from that or not. At the end of the day, coaches want a hitting routine. They want to put something out that's going to look good, number one, and be competitive. Because if you don't look good, trust me, you're not getting the score that you want, no matter how difficult your routine is. And a lot of that is aura, energy, presence that you give on stage, how clean you are. Trust me, some of these teams who are the best of the best in the world are doing more of the easier skills, but making it look hard with the transitions.
The way they look, or the way they perform it too. Yeah, the way they perform it too. I think we got to credit 24K because their skills are so clean and so sharp, and they're just hitting them so well, but they perform it so good, and so good.
Adrian brings a lot of that
so much
to the practice setting, and he's talked to Top Gun staff about that at staff training, which is honestly helped bring a little bit more of that into our gym last year.
Do you take a little bit of everything that we learn when we go to those other places and talk to these other people? And carry it with us. But
besides doing sections and stuff at practice, we obviously go full out. We try not to do more than 2, maybe 3 in a practice. But that third one's super optional and really just
based off of how bad they need it.
Yeah, and we center a lot of what we do coaching wise to the kids. I'm not gonna force the kids really to do anything that they don't want to do. In this day's era of cheerleading, we have to be super self-aware of what the kids are feeling and how they are at a practice. I can't just push them to their wits end and expect them to give me the result they want. So really 2 full outs is the most we'll do, because after that it gets dangerous and
and what people don't know is we are very aware that they feel the pressure of the major competitions more than anyone could even imagine. They already know and feel the pressure. We're not going to push the pressure on them. Do what you got to do. You have a job. Trust in your technique, and everything is going to be okay. 100%. And I think that's super important when you're preparing them. You just take care of their mental health, because they already know the pressure. It exists. They feel it. You feel it the week of a major competition. You feel the energy shift in practices. So just taking care of that, acknowledging that, and then skipping right over the fact that it's a major competition, and just focusing on the skill itself and focusing on the material and the technique. 100%. I think that also helps us prepare them.
And that's our job mainly as coaches, is to be patient and be adults, because a lot of the time it is so much easier to yell at a kid or to get irate or to let your emotions get the best of you instead of taking the time to actually just self-reflect and think about, okay, what am I going to say in this moment that is either going to stick with this kid for the rest of their life or directly impact the rest of their cheerleading career.
So much so.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will hurt me.
And they hurt.
And they stick. And kids remember. And listen, I remember plenty of things I've been told all the year of cheer, and it is easy for us to forget that day to day, especially when we're
the flip flop throwing,
right, or when we're yelling. It's so easy to forget all that happened. But say down the road 10 years later, a kid comes up to you and be like, that really hurt my feelings. You're what do you mean I don't remember? That's a problem. We need to self-reflect, process all of it, and then move forward from it and think about how you can be better for the kids.
So much so,
but can you tell me, how do you prepare your team with team bonding activities, and do you have anything in particular that you do that's the most fun, or what do you prefer to do with your teams?
I love this question. I think, the first part is definitely get them out of the gym environment. Get them in a bowling alley, get them in the pool party, get them out of the pool, or out of the pool.
Get out of the pool.
Get them out of the gym, get them bonding over something other than cheerleading. And then when you're in the gym, we like to do these flyer face-offs. So we'll have the stunt groups look at each other, and they have to outperform each other. And we don't ever tell them who wins, because
You're all winners, baby.
Yeah, period. You all did a great job. And
We're
you don't
the winners.
want, you don't want it to be like a favoritism issue. So we don't touch the winner aspect of it, but we make them compete against each other. So I'm watching you and you're watching me, and we're both giving it everything we got. And I see you're doing a little bit more, so then I do a little bit more, and then you see I'm moving my ponytail a little bit, and then you start moving your ponytail a little bit. Then all of a sudden you have this like super fun, crazy ball of energy between two stunt groups.
And it brings the fun back into cheer.
So much so,
At the end of the day, these parents pay for their kids to have fun and to learn and to get better. Yep. And we are there to just be the fostering of all things fun, all things learning, and all things growing. Yes. So, like, yes, we have work to do. Yes, we have full outs to produce. Yeah. And yes, we want to win. But if the kids aren't having fun and they're not enjoying what they're doing, we're not going to get the retention every year. Yep. And it's been proven that, especially for us, that it works. Yeah. Like, we have so much fun at practice. And that is actually one of my favorite things to do with teams. And it gets them working together. Like, and the more that you do it, they, like, start encouraging each other and saying, like, yes, you got this. Yeah. And, like, it makes them and, like, reassures them. Yep. To know that, oh, they're there for me, and oh, like, yes, I like can totally do this, right?
Like, and yes, you hit a liberty for the first time.
Like, and listen, when they hit that lip for the first time, you better make it the
best celebration.
Of course, like. We're all about small victories, and we're all about big victories, of course. But we want the kids to feel celebrated. We want them to also feel valued and cherished and know that we are proud of them when they do these little things. 100%. It could be a skill. It could be a life skill, like a mental health skill. Say they got over a big anxiety or a fear or a mental block. And we are there hyping them up 100% of the way and, like, making them feel special. And that is one thing that we are definitely good at. But team bonding, I love a good team bonding.
So
Listen, I love a good pool party. Yes. I love a good cookout. I love to eat. Okay, so if you have a cookout or if you got some food at your team bonding, let us know. We'll be there. Okay.
That's so good.
But I agree. You have to bring them out of the gym. You have to do the fun activities with them. Like, I've seen some teams do some crazy team bonding. So low-key, I'm trying to get into that. I'm trying to do, like, Universal. Oh, we did Busch Gardens last year. But I'm trying to do Universal, Disney. I'm trying to do all the fun stuff.
We have a couple planned for both my teams this year. I'm excited for it. Like, more towards, like, right before school starts. But I'm excited. Like, the kids are already talking about it or what they're going to do or what they're going to wear. So that's cute. I like that.
Love that.
Yes.
You ready to go to the next question?
Oh, of course. Of course. Period.
Sorry, let's take a little shimmy break. Show me your best shimmy, Coach Kenzie.
Like a shoulder shimmy or like a shimmy?
Like a cheer shimmy. Okay, period. You can have this to loop.
I love a shoulder shimmy slap clean.
Ooh.
Oh, I love one. Like a shoulder shimmy. Yes.
Ooh,
I love it.
Wow, our timing and sync is so good.
We are good. Driver. That is a driver. And we just got it.
Moving on to the next question.
Period. All right, Miss Gabby Gabs, what do you think are the most important life lessons athletes can learn from cheerleading?
Oh my God. So,
where do we begin?
There are so many. Most importantly, sorry, my necklace is bothering me and I'm moving it. But most importantly, biggest life lesson you could ever learn from cheerleading is just learning how to be a good person and to be kind to others. Yeah. You work on a team. Cheer is not an individual sport. So when working with others, obviously, like, you may not always get along. They may not always be your best friend. And same goes, like, if you're an athlete and if it's your coach, or if you're a coach and it's your athlete. Like, we got to work out how to work together in this shared setting. So with that, like, you have to teach kids how to, number one, communicate with friends and communicate with kids their own age. Communicate to adults, and just be a good person. Like, be more selfless than you were. Like, when you're working with a team, you have to be selfless.
So the first three things I thought of were discipline, teamwork, and self-accountability. And I mean, I know I've learned that. I had great coaches growing up. I'm very grateful for the experiences that I had, but I've learned more from other coaches as a coach, from staff trainings, from our giant Top Gun trainings where we all get together with all the programs. But hearing them talk or the way they communicate or work through things, I learned a lot through them. But I think discipline is so huge.
For sure.
I don't know, if you've ever gone to a club picture day at a high school and you watch the track boys trying to get together or the tennis team trying to get together for a picture, it is a disaster. Yeah. You watch a cheer team get together, bada bing, bada boom. They're in a perfect line.
there
So you cannot tell
go.
me that they did not learn discipline because...
Well, it depends though, because sometimes depends
You're
on the
right,
age, because
you're
you gotta put those kids in. They all
That's
stand in
so
one line,
fair.
and it's
so
like,
fair.
okay, you know that if you're short, you gotta get in the
Yes,
front. Come on,
yes,
Sally Joe, let's
yes.
go. Get in the
Let's
front,
go.
get on your knees, and
That's
put your
so
hands on
true.
your lap and smile.
And but watching any other sports team get together to do anything, I just feel like our kids are so much quicker. Maybe I'm biased because I just love our kids so much.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely comparing.
We take credit for their success, but
Definitely comparing
either
the
way,
two.
I think those are the three biggest things: the discipline, the teamwork, and the self-awareness,
For
and
sure.
self-accountability.
Self-accountability, selflessness, and just being kind.
Yeah.
Life lessons. I've learned definitely good ones and definitely bad ones through my time. Have you had an experience through cheer that maybe it was like, oh, I definitely don't want to do that?
I think that I would have coaches. So when we were younger, it was such a different time.
Way
the
different.
flip-flops were being thrown, the chairs were being tossed, and it was just like, it happens. You move on, you get
And
water,
you
you come
have to
back,
deal
and
with it.
you don't make a mistake again. But I know now that when I would be yelled at, there was never like a, I didn't mean it. You know I love you. I
Right.
think you're capable of great
sure.
things. I think I've learned that aspect of it where I want to change that. I know if I'm going to rip someone up and down and the minute they go get water, I'm like, I could have done that so much better. I could have taken a deep breath. I could have pulled them aside. I could have had a chat.
Right.
I could have done something so much
Right.
more productive because yelling and screaming and embarrassing them definitely did not help.
No, for sure. And I saw this podcast one time or a TED Talk, and the person speaking was talking about how it takes way less intelligence for you to yell at somebody.
Yes.
It is way easier of a
Oh
skill
my
than it is to
goodness,
sit
yes.
back, look at yourself, and think about
Yep.
how you can approach that in a different way. A lot of the times, when we learn these life lessons,
Yep.
or when the kids learn the life lessons,
yeah.
we're learning with them.
Yep. Yep.
Because we weren't given that kind of environment in
Yeah.
our own cheer careers, now as coaches, we're trying to pick up the
Yeah.
pieces for our own sake, and
Yeah.
when they're learning how to communicate, we're teaching them, we're also learning
yeah.
at the same time. So give us grace.
But
Also we're growing up together, and
Yeah.
I think that is one of the greatest things.
Oh, I love it.
Which we
Yeah.
talked about earlier, but we teach these kids far beyond a back handspring and a back tuck. We teach them more than what it takes to stand up in a Liberty.
Yep.
The things that we tell them, the things that we teach them will carry on with them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
And what we say matters. And
100%.
what we do matters.
Yeah.
If we're leading by example, then we're able to have a team that can lead
Yep.
by example
Oh,
and
yeah.
be an example for others.
Yep.
And that's one thing that I think as a duo we are really good at. When we want the kids to be bonded or we want the kids to communicate with each other, we show that to each other and we show that respect to each other so that we can get that reciprocated from them.
And part of growing up with the kids is celebrating their success with them, because you got there because of me and I got there because of you, so we're doing this.
Right.
We are celebrating this.
Right.
You stood up in the lid because I taught you how, but you did your job.
Right.
So now we get to do this together. We get to
Right.
acknowledge it. We get to endure it together. So I think that's so beautiful, the growing up with the kids and growing through them and
Right.
with them. That's so beautiful.
And when big things happen and our teams do well or we have big successes, how do you like to celebrate that, and how do you like to make them feel like their hard work was worth it?
Well, I know I talk about this with a lot of my friends, and you especially. One of my New Year's resolutions was treating others the way they want to be treated, but to an extreme. The way I want my birthday to be celebrated, I want to do that for other people.
Right.
If someone is in need, I want to be the first one at their door.
Right.
When I do things successfully, I want people to celebrate me
100%.
in every aspect of it. So when these kids grow or they do something really well, I just treat them the way I want to be treated.
Right.
And that's the best. I know it's so corny and cheesy, but that's the best way I can describe it, is I just celebrate them the way I would want to be celebrated.
100%.
If that's my first time ever hitting a full up, I'm jumping it around, I'm high-fiving, I'm hugging.
Right.
Because I remember my first time ever hitting a full up, it was a good job, glad it clicked,
Right.
move on.
Right.
Not
Thank
that
God
that
you
wasn't-
finally hit it.
and back then that was oh yes, thank God I finally hit it. But knowing that I can give them more because they deserve more and I would want more, that's how I celebrate their success.
And then they start treating each other like that. So
Yes.
like when,
Yeah.
say Sally Joe just got her back handspring
Yep.
again after having a mental block. Like
Yep.
her besties on her team know that she was struggling and
Yep.
know that like the proper way to approach that is like
Yes.
all love, all excitement,
Yes.
all the hype,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
then again they learn
Yep.
from our examples. So like
And if we're cheering and screaming, we're drawing attention towards that athlete. People are like, "Oh, what is she celebrating? She just did a back handspring! Oh my gosh!"
right,
Like,
and it makes it this
and then
whole big thing, and
yes,
it's awesome.
Yes, yeah, I love that.
One thing that I love in particular when like celebrating teams is like I love a good pizza party. Don't get me wrong, I love all of that, but I love sitting down and like having real talks and like giving
Yeah.
real validation to the kids.
Yeah.
It's very important. Like
Yep.
letting them know how proud you are of them and like
Yeah.
letting them know that their hard work was worth it.
Yeah.
Just like adults do, like kids definitely deal with confidence issues and
Oh,
deal
yeah.
with self-doubt and like
That reassurance.
it's inevitable, but the reassurance is like it kind of just makes your shoulders drop, you know, like
So
when,
much
you,
so.
when you do a big sigh and it's like I can breathe again and
Yeah.
it's like okay, maybe I do got this because
Yes.
Coach Kenzie, Coach Gabby believe
yeah,
in me. But
yeah.
like
Oh, I love that.
I love sitting down and having good talks with the kids
Mm-hmm.
and just like pouring myself out to
Yep.
them and like letting them know that
Yeah.
like it's okay to feel, it's okay
Yep.
to be real, and it's okay to like
Yeah.
let others know that
Oh,
they're
yeah.
doing a good job.
I think that's the most rewarding part of it for me.
But I do love
Is that-
pizza party, and we
yeah.
had a little pizza chart for Pistols 2
We
years
did,
ago.
yeah,
And they
I remember
earned
that.
one. It was great, and
It
we
was so fun.
made it rewarding for them as they hit full
Yeah.
outs and stuff like that. But like, pizza's expensive. I love popsicles too. So if you need a good idea,
good
like let us
popsicle
know.
party.
We love popsicle parties.
Ice cream party.
Get out of conditioning free. You know,
Period.
great ways to celebrate.
Yep.
But in terms of competitions and stuff like that, like if we get bids, sometimes the parents
Yeah.
will put together like a bid reveal party,
reward,
and that's like
yeah.
a nice way for teams to celebrate too.
Oh, yeah.
What else do we do at the gym that like kind of helps celebrate the kids and like makes them feel special?
Yeah. Send-offs are so fun.
Mm-hmm.
So fun. And it's knowing that people are there for you, that care for you, and they want to be there
Right.
is so helpful.
Right.
And I think that's like the best way that we celebrate them. Like, and the kids idolize Coach Buckley, and they don't know Coach John very well, but the more he's around, they understand like,
Right.
oh, he's the big man, he's in charge.
Right.
So when he shows up and he's like, hey, good job, or you planted your feet, that was
Right.
pretty good.
Like it means a lot
They're like,
to the kids.
are you
He's like a
kidding me?
celebrity.
Yeah, literally. But I think that having other coaches cheer for you and acknowledge your success,
Mm-hmm.
having two of the most important people and the biggest part of the gym's success
for sure.
cheer for you, and people like your family coming in and taking time to watch
Right.
you, that's so beautiful. I love that we do that.
I love that
I
so
love the way
much
we,
too.
Celebrate them.
When I cheered, my mom was a single mom, and she worked so hard to provide cheerleading for me. Like,
Yeah.
she would never let me know any of the financial stuff, but like, with that, my mom was a working mom with 4 kids.
Yeah.
So I know that you have a big family too.
Oh,
so your
yeah.
parents had to sacrifice
Lots
a
of
whole
fundraising.
lot
Oh
for your
my
family to
gosh,
cheer as
yeah.
well. But a lot of the time, like my mom had to miss competitions. My mom couldn't be there to sit there and watch me at practice because she had a household to run and she had
Yeah.
a job and a career, and like that was hard. And I wish that like growing up, like my gym did something like that, like so
Yeah.
parents could come in either on a weekday or like before a competition and like still let them see what
Yeah.
you've been doing and all the hard
Yep.
work you've been putting in. Because like I was a kid that rode with other parents to other competitions.
Yeah.
Okay, like I was the extra kid, you
Yep.
know.
Literally.
So,
Aw. The add-on.
like, but you feel that too, like
Yeah,
all
yeah.
all your sisters cheered, and like your
Yep.
mom was a working mom and your dad was a working
Yeah.
dad, and like you have an awesome family dynamic, like
I
with
love
all
my
your
family. I'm
brothers,
so grateful.
even your adopted brother too.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I love
Yep.
your family, and your
Yeah.
mom and your dad like seriously work so hard to like give you
100%.
and your brothers and
Yep.
sisters like everything
Yeah.
they want and deserve in
Yep.
the world.
And part of that is we know that that's not everyone's case. Like,
Right.
while I'm very, very, very grateful, I know your experience was so different.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, this is all the good that they have is the practices or the competitions, and you have to remember that.
Right.
Sometimes this is literally the only good thing that they have.
Seriously.
So why like, enjoy it with them, go through it with them, let them know that you are there, let them know that you are
Right.
celebrating them, and let them know that they're heard.
that.
But I love that.
And we weren't athletes too long ago. What,
No,
4 years
yeah,
ago?
yeah.
2020, baby, right? You were on Sub 4?
Something like that. No, I wasn't on So 4. I never did it.
I was about to say, well...
No, I tore my
were
rotator cuff for FGCU,
Oh, okay.
so I didn't cheer. Yeah.
So about 4 or 5 years, like, since we've
college,
been athletes. But
something
my
like
last
that.
competition was NCAA 2020, okay? I remember vividly being an athlete. Like, I still feel like one sometimes, and I still feel like I got one more year of cheer under my belt.
Yeah.
So hit me up if you want me on your team.
Period. Toxic. Toxic.
Regardless of that, like, we spend so much time with these kids, and we want them to be successful.
Yeah.
We want them to have fun, and we love celebrating them.
Yeah.
And when we have big things going on in our life, they love celebrating us. Like when you got married.
Yes, when they showed up on my wedding day.
That was so beautiful. I love that.
It was literally so rewarding in talking about that, because obviously my husband and I were separated for the day before we got married. But when we got together and we were eating dinner at our like little head table, I was like, oh my gosh, you will not believe who came to see me. And he's like, trying to think, and I'm like, my kids, like my cheer kids. He's like, no way. I'm like, I had cookies and flowers and all the things. That is so beautiful. And like their little giggles were walking up in the house, like
right,
in
like
their
a fairy
uniforms.
tale princess.
Literally.
Like.
Well, first of all, I had my white strips in. I was like wearing my pajamas with nothing. Like
She did not look like a fairy tale princess.
I was not there yet. I was next in line for hair and makeup. Let me clarify. But it was so cute. Watch them be so giggly and like so giddy to be a part of something that was so special to me. That was so beautiful.
The parents love celebrating us at Top Gun. Like, they truly let us know that we are appreciated. We seriously do. Like, shout out to our parents. Like, we have some of the best parents in all of cheerleading. Not only are they understanding to, like, what we go through as young coaches, but, like, a lot of them, like 90% of the time, like, our parents, like, fully trust us and, like, fully give us the ability to do what we need to do with the routine or the team or the kids. And there's just a shared level of respect.
And they also just care about our well-being.
Right.
Like, how many competitions is it? But, like, I know that I can think of like 3 parents directly off the top of my head where the minute we're done performing, they're like, "Can I get you anything? Do you need a water?"
Right.
Or
like a Celsius or Red Bull.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
And
like,
there were some parents who asked habitually, like every single competition, like, "What do you want from this?"
It was like a routine. Hey, I'm stopping at 7-Eleven. Let me know if you need me to grab you anything. Hey, I'm stopping here. Let me know if you need food when you're done.
And it made the biggest difference in our day.
It doesn't, I know like we're running around crazy during competitions, but it doesn't go unnoticed. Like when we get back down to the house or at the Airbnbs, the hotels or wherever we're at, we're always like, oh, that was so nice that she brought me water. I wouldn't have survived without her. Or, oh, that Celsius just saved the day. Like, it is so nice. It's so nice.
We're blessed at Top Gun Southwest because it is a true family environment.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it before in, like, any kind of organization I've ever been in. But we fight like family, we love like family, and we have fun like family does. And it is so easy to be around, like, all the people in the gym. Yeah.
And we produce high caliber, good quality routines in a small mom and pop environment, if that makes sense. Like, not taking down this like the Top Gun name or anything, but we're a lot smaller than every other location. We don't have the numbers or the pull of kids, but what we produce is the same quality. We create this family dynamic, so we get all aspects of the enjoyment. We get the family, we get the competitiveness, we get the quality, we get the training, we get it all. I love Southwest. I
agree. Me too.
I love it.
And, you know, I grew up cheering for different gyms, but Southwest was always the more prevalent gym in the area when I cheered. And, like, honestly, like, I was very nervous about starting and working at Top Gun, but it was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. I've learned so much about myself, grown, and, like, I pushed myself past my limits and my boundaries of what I actually thought I could do at the time. Like, you know, depression and all those other things, like, really make you believe that you cannot do these things and that you feel like an imposter in the environment that you're at. But it's only further confirmed, like, what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. And, like, I'm meant to be in these kids' lives, and I'm meant to be a mentor, a teacher, a role model. And, like, if I ever find myself not leading by example, it's very easy for me to, like, snap myself right back into it and be like, all right, get your crap together. Like, let's go. There's people relying on you.
And I also think that that's how cheerleading has evolved, and it's going to keep evolving, is the safety in sports and honestly just the growth. But keeping the kids safe and talking about mental health, I think that's becoming such a big topic of conversation.
Yes.
I do think that it's going to keep going. I think it's going to keep growing, and I think it's going to become more and more and more important.
As it should. And, like, a lot of coaches, I feel like, have had, especially if you're older, like, not that it's a bad thing, but if, like, we are 24.
Yes.
So the coaches that coached us are still coaching.
Yep.
So a lot of the time it's like, we're in a new era of cheer,
Yep.
and the biggest complaint I hear all the time is that, like, the kids are too soft, the parents are too soft, they expect too much. Like, when all it is that we as a society are becoming way more self-aware about our emotions and how we feel and how we treat others.
Yep.
So, with that being said, of course, there's going to be a higher demand for coaches who are empathetic, for coaches who are understanding. And if you're not on the wave, then you have to hop off the surfboard.
Yeah.
Because, like,
literally,
cheer is changing, and it's
That's what
inevitable.
it is.
And if you're not growing with it, and if you're not trying to change with it, you might need to take a step back and do some reevaluating about, like, why you are doing
and
this sport.
we've put on many different ball caps of the mean coach, the nice coach, the fun coach, the understanding one. Our best results are coming from the kids that really we understand. They know that we care about them, and we make it known to everybody. Like, it's hard to explain, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, if I was to walk in and take over a team and I just immediately start telling them everything they're doing wrong, no positive affirmations, no reassurance, and I'm just like, nope, this, I promise you're not going to get the same results as, hey, we didn't turn the wrist.
Yep.
We missed the grip, but you fought for it, and I cannot thank you enough for fighting for your son. Good job. Those two different mindsets right there are the difference between good and great.
And on top of that, it's the difference between short-term and long-term.
Yes.
Like, you could gripe throughout a season, and you can be the winners, and you can win everything, and you can yell all you want, do that. But at the end of the day, like, the long-term effects that you're going to get is going to be way different
100%.
than when you are actually nurturing the kids and giving them the opportunity to learn their own emotions, to learn about dealing with each other's emotions and dealing with other people when they're having hard times. Like, the life lessons we learn in just in general, like, we are like these kids almost second set of parents too.
So while we're talking about everything evolving, what's your, like, what impact do you hope to leave? If you were to have to stop tomorrow, what's that one impact that you hope that you left behind or that you made?
I want people to be happy. I think that is my own number one life goal, is that like, I want to be happy. I don't know where that statement or goal is going to take me, but, like, I want to live a life where I feel like is fulfilled, and I want those kids to do the same. If they're leaving the gym happy, regardless if it was a good or a bad practice, or we remind them that it's, you know, it's okay and stuff like that, they'll grow up to be way better functioning adults.
100%,
because I find myself, like, as an adult right now, like, having a hard time, and, like, through my own personal circumstances, but I don't want these kids. I want these kids to be better than me, and I hope to leave the impact of, like, you have the confidence that you need to go throughout life and tackle anything, whether it's a job interview or going to college or even just developing relationships and friendships with people. Like, I want these kids to be able to have that under their backbone or, like, under their belt, so that when they get to these tough times, or like when they're growing up like us, like, maybe it'll be a little easier for them.
I think for me, it's, I want to be remembered, but not in, like, an ego way, but, like, I want kids to look back and be like, oh, I remember Coach Kenzie. She changed my life. Or, oh, I remember when Coach Kenzie told me X, Y, and Z. I remember when Coach Kenzie did this, and this for me. I'll never forget that. And I want them to be better than when I got them. I want them to be like, or their parents to see it. We've had a couple of parents be like, you've changed their life. Or they talk to me this way now because they were coached by you. And that is literally life-changing. And when they write us little notes.
Going back into, like, the parents too, like, the parents are always, like, really awesome about validating us as coaches and, like, letting us know when we're doing a good job. And, like, it always comes at, like, the best time. But, like, one parent I can name in particular, he was already on the podcast before us, but shout out Craig Carmen. Shout out Oddity Carmen.
The whole family.
They really, 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 it doesn't matter who their coaches are for their daughters' teams. Like, they will always, like, let the coaches know that they're doing a good job. And, like, when they came to the gym, like, they started a whole energy wavelength change to, like, all of our parents. And
talk about people who can change energy in a room.
Yeah.
Literally.
That duo is amazing. But they, like, they started that whole wavelength of just, like, validation. That just, like, and that sprung onto the parents and, like, spread from team to team. And now, like, no matter how hard it gets, like, the parents always let us know that we're doing a good job. And, like, whenever we go through tough times, like, the text that we get,
that's the high five, or, like, you're changing lives, coach. Like, stop.
Like, it's like, like, if you're going home and you're having a really bad like mental day with, like, we go through those a lot, and, like, we always say, like, be each other 60. We'll get into that maybe after this, but, like, I always think about those times, and I always look back at the text messages or, like, read the cards or, like,
I do too.
It's the only thing I know how to do, like, if I'm sad, is, like, look back and, like, snap out of it. Like, you got this.
The year that we had pistols, and at the banquet, remember when they wrote us all the handwritten notes? I read it before All-Star Worlds this year. Before we traveled this year, I took my box that has all their little handwritten notes, and I read every single one, and I just bawled. But it reminded me what we were here for. It really, because the pressure of going to All-Star Worlds is obviously extreme. You want the kids to be successful, but you also want it. You've worked all year long to make these kids great. You want it to show.
And we sacrifice, but, like, as much as the kids sacrifice, like, we, coaches and parents, like, we also sacrifice as well. And, like, everybody's sacrifice, whether it's coach, parent, or athlete, looks different. And, like, from coach to coach is different, too. Like, for me, like, I sacrifice, like, a lot of my social life. Or, like, I sacrifice the opportunity to build a relationship with somebody someday. And, like, nobody wants to be with somebody that works from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. This very special breed does, and, like, you got so lucky with Anthony. But, like, how do you feel like that translates into your life? Like, feeling like the FOMO almost, like, you have to miss out and stuff like that.
I think for me, I'm very grateful because most of my best friends are the people I coach with. So every time I get to come into the gym, I do get to hang out with my friends. But I also just have so much trust in knowing that this is my purpose. That I could be going to a concert. I could be going to go do line dancing. I could be doing this, but what am I adding value into my life?
Right, for sure.
That if I was not doing coaching, probably nothing. There's nothing purposeful or meaningful for my life that I could be doing other than being in the gym and making kids better, making connections, building connection, and making myself better.
I agree.
I don't know if it's because we're older, like 24, but I just can't think of something that is more meaningful than doing what I'm doing now.
I agree.
So I don't miss out on a lot besides family time. Obviously.
And I think, I don't know, like, for me specifically, it's, like, more of, like, a societal, like, pressure kind of thing. Like, I feel like I should be doing way more than what I'm doing right now, and, like, all my friends are getting married, all my friends are, like, doing this and that, and, like, having kids and starting their lives, and, like, as much as I am, I'm starting my own life in my own way. It's like, society makes it really hard for me to not feel like that, and, like, as coaches, like, we all feel it in our own different way. Like, we're giving a lot of our time to work with kids when people we know are, like, still cheering. Or, like, winning world championships. and, like we're here, and, like, we're giving all of our time and devotion to both of our jobs and our lives, and either husbands or friends, work, dogs, cats, like, parents. Like, we have so much things to, like, divide all of our time and attention to that, like, it's hard, man. It's hard life out here. I don't blame anybody, but what advice would you give to any aspiring cheer coaches?
Oh, that's so fun. It's fun for me because my sister Maddie just got hired this year for her
Shout out Mads.
Shout out Maddie. Shout out Emmy. I love you too.
Love the lane.
The whole lane crew. But it's fun for me because I've talked to her very, very, very often about being new and what she's learned and all the things. But something I told her recently is you're only as good as your season. Because when her and I were talking about, like, AK3 last year, we had, for AK3, we had probably one of the best years ever. Like, the bond, the growth, the energy, the fun, but we also struggled and always bounced back. That by far was such a good year for junior 3, especially in our gym. And we ended in 14th or 11th. So you know what I'm saying? But like, you are only as good as, and it wouldn't have changed the season had we won. it didn't change the season that we were 14th.
Right.
It didn't.
It didn't.
So teaching myself and changing the mindset, or if I can tell any coach that wants to be a coach or someone who's trying to, you are literally only as good as your season. Make them better. Enjoy every moment you have. Build bonds. But just be grateful for your season. 100%. Especially once we had a coach through COVID. And our season ended. It ended literally after one competition. It was so weird.
COVID year was a crazy weird year.
It's so weird.
And COVID year started a whole lot of like catalysts of change in my life that was super uncomfortable. Like, but I was getting on the plane for NCAA 2020 and it was like COVID was just starting and people were like already on the planes with masks. I was like flying to Dallas, Texas and was like, COVID hit, all right, go on spring break for college, and I never went back. I never went back on spring break. And that was scary, and that developed like a lot of the change in cheer today too, with how kids behave, with how kids learn, with how kids are with their focus and how they are with communicating and developing relationships with each other. COVID had a whole impact on how kids are behaving nowadays, and you see that in the school, we see it at cheer, but at the end of the day, like, to me, cheer is an extension of school. So like we deal with a lot of kids regardless of like where they're at, what's the word, intelligence wise, like we have kids like who have IEPs and 504 plans and who have learning like things that
like
they
you can't
need
just tell someone to drop on 7. You have to be like, ready, 1, 2, 3, 4. We drop on 7.
Right. So like some athletes require like a little bit extra assistance and some learning difficulties with stuff like that, which I'm happy to do. I actually love doing that because like we try as much as possible to create an environment like that. Obviously, like we work in a fast-paced setting, so like we have a job to do and we have floods to run and a product to give, but like we want kids of all abilities to like be able to learn and give them the opportunity and to grow and be amazing.
Is there any other pieces of advice that you would give?
I think that for any aspiring cheer coach, go out, have fun. Try to learn as much as possible.
Soak up all the information.
If you are learning, you are growing and you are getting better. If you are not open to learning, then maybe coaching is not the right job for you. Like working in any other environment, like you deal with a lot of people who either have way more experience than you, or people who just have way more drills or skills under the belt, like have tools that have helped them throughout their years of coaching. So like ask the questions, like sit back, like be okay with sitting back and learning. Like it is totally okay. Like if you don't feel like you're doing what you need to do like that season, or you feel like you're not coaching the teams you should have, maybe it's for a reason. Maybe it's like, okay, maybe I need to take this year to learn, or maybe I need to take this year to like reflect within myself or help myself grow so that like next year I can get back to like doing the things that I perceive for myself. And I know that we as coaches have faced situations like that where like we didn't get what we wanted because of like we had some growing to do, or we had some more things to learn, and it like I feel like it always benefited us, like and it always
worked out in the end, always.
Exactly. And like you said, your season is what you make of it. So like when we look back at the season as a whole, like if kids are learning, if kids are growing, if kids are getting better, that's all that matters. So if you are new to cheer, make sure that the kids are happy, make sure that they're learning, make sure that they're growing, make sure that you are happy and you are learning.
Know your score sheet. Know your score sheet. Cheer is deep and it's meaningful and there's so many aspects to it, but when it comes down to a routine, know your score sheet.
100%.
Coach Buckley is a very big advocate for this, about us preparing ourselves and reading the score sheet, but you're literally they're giving you a rubric on how to be successful. Read it, make it fit and make it the kids' vibe, but do what they're asking you to do, and you are already halfway there. That's half your battle. So if you know your score sheet, you're going to be just fine. Know your skills, know what you need, know your numbers, know how to be successful, and there you go.
And read the current era cheerleading. Like, read what's popular. Like, what are the trends? Like, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram Reels are great tools that, like, we definitely use as coaches, but most coaches use to, like, look up for ideas or creativity. Like, I watch acro videos all the time to try and find cool ideas or cool ways to transition from one body positioning to another.
Yep.
So there's definitely tools out there. There's definitely resources out there for you if you're having trouble with like coming up with skills or stuff like that. And like, listen, I love a good crazy pyramid. One of my favorites, okay? A level 1 pyramid from California All-Stars, white gold, baby. They are one of the best level 1 teams in the country.
Yep.
I know a lot of that has changed over the years,
Yep.
but like, go back to 2014 era cheer, like they were the ish, okay?
Yeah.
They were the best.
They were
of
a
the
big
best.
deal. They were a big deal.
What do you feel like? Okay, real quick, let's go back. What was your favorite, like, let's say 2013 to 2015, okay, of cheerleading? Like, what was your favorite team?
See, I was such a Maddie Gardner girl.
Senior
so
Elite.
Cheerstream Senior Elite was always so big for me. Rosie's their biggest fan, obviously.
So if you're on Senior Elite and you're watching this, please send my girl Rosie
some
swag
merch.
bag.
Yeah, some merch.
So that
please.
when she comes back from vacation and she finds us in her house, still
Yeah.
recording this podcast.
Still recording the podcast.
She'll have herself a little Senior Elite shirt to
Period.
wear.
Do what you want.
But Senior Elite was on the list for
Yeah.
me.
And then my first ever picture that I ever took with like a cheer celebrity was TGLC.
Period.
Yeah, I was like, and we watched them, and my mom and dad were like, "That is insane."
I actually
that
went
is
to
insane.
Worlds. It's so funny. So, side topic about kind of like TGLC 00. Like my first year going to watch the cheerleading Worlds
Okay.
was 2013
Okay.
or 2014, but that was the year I think that 00 had the Fallen Jags routine.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a coach in Miami. His name is Mojo. Shout out Mojo. He's one of the best. But I actually was looking back at some of my pictures from that time, and like Mojo and I had taken a picture together.
Aww.
And then now we were the same brand, and it's
That's
great.
so
and
beautiful.
like a lot of times, like
Yeah.
when I look at memories like that, and I see people that I currently work with
Yeah.
in the industry, it's like it's a weird
So much
feeling.
so much, yeah.
It's so
Jack
weird.
Kinney is a big one.
Yep.
When I started trying to YouTube videos on how to tumble, and his videos would pop up, he literally based my sister when they were world champions.
Right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Period.
And he's an angel on earth. He's literally the nicest human being alive.
I
So
think-
shout out Jack Kinney.
Shout out Jack. If I think that a lot of the times like we put cheerleaders and like make them cheerlebrities and put them on a pedestal, and like we oftentimes forget that they're regular people and that like they just want to be treated as a regular person. Like we put
They get those comp nerves. They get they have their superstitions.
They're just like
It's-
everybody else,
Yeah.
and they are 12 to 18 plus year old kids, teenagers or adults who are like being idolized in a way that like adds a lot of pressure to them. So like
much.
if you ever get into cheerleading and are an aspiring coach and you start working with people who maybe were your role models or somebody you looked up to, like it's very important to like take that step back and realize okay, they are actually just a regular person, and like they're cool, and like they go through struggles like you. And like that was something that was really weird for me, like when I first started working at Top Gun, is that like I started working alongside and like competing against people that like I looked up to growing up, and like from small town Naples, Florida, like at some rinky-dink gym, it's like it's very easily to like grab onto those icons and like make them like an idol for you, something you want to be when you get older.
Few moments later.
Welcome back to the Cheer Chronicles podcast. I'm here with
Coach Kenzie.
I'm Coach Gabby, and we are now heading into the send-off round. All right, I'm going to start first. I'm going to ask you this question. Coach Kenzie, what was the craziest or funniest thing that's ever happened to you during a practice or competition? Go.
It's literally so hard to pick one, but the one that obviously I think of, and I think a lot of the coaches think of, is we had an athlete that had to go back to Canada because they had some sort of paperwork that they needed to work on. She came back. She had been gone for quite some time, but came back the week of a competition, obviously. We had a couple of practices. It was a little bit crazy. Talked to mom, got on the same page, get out on stage, and she falls in a back walkover, stands up, and unfortunately forgets where she is, runs around the floor, gets to the pyramid, and starts literally smacking herself in the face. And we are screaming at the front like, it's okay, like stop, it's okay. And she kept going, and
she was a champion, let me tell you that.
It was in the judges' comments at the end about the poor sweet girl, and we felt bad, but now of course we can look back and laugh, but in the moment it was like the craziest thing I've ever experienced. I was like,
that's what I feel like half of our experiences are at practice and stuff like that. Like, we are the coaches and the adults, so it can't be funny.
Yeah.
But, like...
But the minute the doors close, it's like... But that was definitely the craziest. I mean, we watched that video back over and over and over, and I was just like, oh my god.
I think about it a lot, love.
Obviously, she was okay, and she is well. But
She's also thriving.
She's
She's
now.
doing
Yeah.
so freaking good.
Shout
as
out
one of our athletes.
you who should not be named.
Shout out you, girl. You're doing amazing.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny.
So, moving on to the next question. Coach Kenzie, if you could choreograph a routine to, like, any unconventional song, like, it could be anything, what song would you do and why?
So for me, obviously, we were talking about that 2013 era and the 2010s. Lady Gaga. Anything Lady Gaga, you gotta give it to me. Like,
icon.
The Edge of Glory in a pyramid. Don't blame me. Don't blame me.
Listen, it's giving Shooting Stars Lady
giving,
Gaga year,
giving.
okay?
So-
What year was that? Do you remember what year they did, like, a Lady Gaga thing?
I don't even remember. It might have been 2014.
Ooh,
Maybe.
2014, 15,
don't
or 15,
fact,
16.
don't fact check us on that. Do your own research. Mind your business. No, I was kidding.
But
yeah.
Iconic. Lady
100%.
Gaga theme in this day and age would also be an
It
icon.
would be so
Imagine
good.
if they did, like, a little remake to Lady Gaga. Ooh.
Shooting Stars, reach out to us. We'll be your PR team.
Let us know.
We'll be your PR team.
If you need a theme for your cheer routine, let us know.
The Jersey Girls. I love the Jersey Girls. I absolutely love them.
Performing now, the Jersey Girls.
Okay, I have a good one for you.
Okay, period.
What is the most unexpected life lesson that you've learned from cheerleading?
Oh God. I always get this. I think
It's the life lessons ones. You're just so good at them.
I think the biggest life lesson I learned from cheerleading is you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
Definitely proved that to myself.
Oh, yeah.
And to others, like, throughout my cheerleading and coaching
Yeah.
career. I was never supposed to make it as far as I did, and
Yeah.
I made it, and I'm very
Aw.
happy to say that I did, and I'm very proud of the things that I've done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do anything you put your mind to.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're like me and you're a non-tumbler girl, you're not meant to leave the ground, you can still go to
You
the
can
World
still-
Championships.
Yeah. Mine's definitely comparison is the thief of joy. Because
Yes.
it's so hard not
Yes.
to watch teams that are, you get them so strong and your journey is like very, very, very much building. And then you get the reward.
Right.
But so sometimes you watch these teams that are just like, bada bing, bada boom, and it's working and you're still doing your
Right.
basics or your progressions. But I've learned that through cheer. And it helps in real life. You
For
see
sure.
you see teams, you see people, you see kids our age that have so much more or even sometimes less.
Yeah.
You just absolutely cannot compare. You cannot compare. Progress
Yep.
is not linear.
It is never linear.
Never.
That is actually one of my favorite sayings.
Aw.
Healing, progress, anything in life
Yeah.
is never linear. There's always going to be ups
Yeah.
and downs. There's always going to be trials, tribulations, things that you go
Yeah.
through and grow through.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in that. A lot of the things that we go through in life are the catalyst to change and growth that we need as people. So if we are not learning or if we are repeating patterns,
Agreed.
it's time to look back into yourself and think,
Dig deep.
dig deep. Can I do better?
Yep.
And you should do better. Anyways, next question, Coach Kenzie.
Ooh, that was good. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Thank you. We're doing a little ASMR. ASMR. If you're listening to this, we're doing a quick ASMR. Okay, so next question.
Shout out Top Gun. Shout out Rosie Campbell.
Shout out Rosie.
Thank you for letting us stay at your house for the podcast.
Thanks, we appreciate it. I hope you're having a good vacation. Slay.
Stay on the boat.
Don't come back. Your house is nice. You have snacks in your cabinet. You got those
Oh my gosh.
cheddar and sour cream ruffles. Next question.
Yes.
Coach Kenzie, how do you handle conflicts with other teams at competitions? For example, if another team or coach is talking down to your athletes.
That's hard. Well, it's obviously extremely important to lead by example.
Always.
But do not mess with our kids. Do not. That's just not
Never.
gonna work. Always take care of them first. Get them out of a situation if it's bad. And then honestly, we haven't had to experience it a lot. We've had kids like bicker at awards, like, "Hey, you took my flag,"
Right.
or "Hey," and you just always deal with the coach directly and let them deal with it, and then tell the parents that what happened. But it's hard. We really don't have a lot of conflicts with other teams at competitions because if you're leading by example or you're doing the right thing, you're really never putting anyone in a position to have a conflict. People like to have silent beef with us, or they like to to feel a certain way about the program or about a specific team. But as long as you're taking care of the kids, you're keeping the kids out of it, and you're leading by good example, I really don't think that you should have an issue.
I literally agree.
Yeah.
And we've been in situations where it's like other teams, like their parents or whatever, and they're like talking about us or like doing actions towards us at competitions out loud in front of other people. By the way, embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
That like put themselves in a negative light, but it's like we're just here and doing our thing. Yeah. So that's definitely something that's hard too about like having that name on our chest and like being in a prevalent brand.
Comes with a lot of pressure.
It really does. And like I've never felt a pressure like that until I started working at Top Gun and like listen, it doesn't matter what cheer gym you cheer for, like people are gonna hate regardless. People are gonna have something to say regardless. So like you do you, boo, you be the best you can be, and that's all that matters.
Period. Snaps for that answer.
Thank you.
Period. Oh, this is another good one for you, Coach Gabby. What's your secret for maintaining high energy throughout long practices and competitions?
You ready? A little bit of ADHD and a whole lot of Celsius, baby, okay? Like, you don't get by just by being, like, high energy all the time. It helps, but, like, definitely, like... I'm just kidding. But being at practice and, like, feeding off of Kenzie or, like, feeding off the kids' energy, like, definitely keeps me going. I'm always, most of the time, fueled by caffeine and a whole lot of ADHD. So, like...
And recently we've been taking care of our bodies.
Right.
That's our new goals.
We, in 2024, have been eating so... Well, I wouldn't say, like, so well, but,
not
like,
consistently.
we've been doing better, okay? Like, so, like, one of the things is that, like, it's very easy as a cheer coach to, like, you know, like, get that Uber Eats and get that steak and shake, or get the burger fry, or get the Tijuana flats.
They got that free delivery on Uber Eats.
Oh, and it is just so easy. But we have been doing a lot better job at like taking care of ourselves this season and like setting and leading by example and like you just went gluten-free. I'm consistently eating better and working out and stuff like that, so like it's definitely been easier for me to like love myself a lot more because of those changes that we've been making.
Fulfill yourself and love yourself, it is a direct reflection of what you can give.
But going back into the high energy thing real quick, it's like I talked about earlier, like the 60-40, right? So Coach Kenzie and I have a thing, and it's something that like we were just having a conversation about one day where it was like, it's okay, we're not always going to be 50-50, but like if you're having a bad day, like let me be your 60. Like let me be your 60%. Let me take on that little bit extra so that like we both can build up together and be 100. Because at the end of the day, we were a coaching duo. So like we work together. We are a pair. We are a team. If the kids see us working as a strong, cohesive unit, they will also work as one too. So like we always energy check each other. So like if we were having a bad day, like I would always feel comfortable enough to tell Coach Kenzie and be like, hey, like I just had the most horrible crap day at school, so I'm coming in and my energy is going to be a little bit low, so like if you can help me out with that, please do. We always got each other.
Always. And even at competitions when it was like high stress environment, I'm like, hey, I'm your 60, you're good, you're good, I have your back, I have your back.
And if you coach with another person, like it is definitely important to validate them as a co-coach and let them know that you have their back, you're doing a good job, and like your ideas matter, your values matter, your opinions matter, and like we have done an amazing job at doing that for each other, which is one of my favorite things about like having coached Kenzie, and hopefully we can be reunited next year.
Christ. I mean, unless someone would like to send me a little bit of money, I can quit my day job. I'll go 4 nights a week at the gym. I'll just boot someone off one of her teams and I'll just take over. No, I'm just kidding.
You just come and hang out, because then you'll just have infinite amount of money to...
There we go.
If you would like to reunite Coach Kenzie and Coach Gabby for $10 a day...
The GoFundMe will be down below.
You can donate to us and our fund of living. But if not, totally okay. Like,
if not, we do have Rosie's house where we could live. So.
Yeah, you're right. We could just stay here. Thanks,
stay
Rosie.
Here.
Oh my God.
Shout out Rosie.
Shout out Rosie for letting us crash with the Cheer Chronicles pad this week. Okay.
Thank you.
We've been having so much fun. Okay. Eating your snacks. But next question, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. If you could instantly master one cheerleading skill you don't currently have, what would it be?
Well, I don't have any right now. Besides the cartwheels and the cord rolls and a mean round.
A mean hand. I don't have a round off, but I do have a mean handstand, okay?
But I would absolutely love a standing tuck, because you could whip that thing out anywhere.
Okay, that is so facts,
I would love a standing tuck.
everyone's like, oh, do a flip. Like, when I tell them I coach cheer, it's like, oh, you can do flips. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can totally do a flip. But if you ask me to do one for you right now, I'm not doing a flip.
No.
And it's like in the weirdest, most randomest places.
Yes.
People are like, yeah, do flip.
But like, I feel like if you get a good mastered standing tuck, you could literally truly do that anywhere.
Solid.
So I feel like
that's so solid.
Would you agree, or do you have?
Okay, I agree. I was thinking something else though. Like, I want a double. Like,
Gary did.
I want a double.
How cool would it be to say, I have a double?
Yeah, I have a double.
Dub club.
I have a double club. But that would just be so cool. Like, just like to have a double. Anyways, but standing tuck, you're right. You could standing tuck anywhere, and probably for the rest of your life. Like, we know people who are older than us. We're not gonna say old because age is a mindset.
It is. It's just a number.
And we're ever young.
You're only as old as you feel you are.
Right. Who still have standing tucks and do them to this day. So shout out you. If you're older than us, than 24, and you're still doing standing tucks,
round of applause.
We love you and we appreciate you and we see you.
You're doing great, sweetie.
You ready for the next question?
This is our last one. I'm sad. I don't want to leave.
Well, maybe we can record another podcast where we're just hanging out here.
Comment down below if you want a part 2.
Part 2?
If you want us to come back, you have to 1, subscribe, 2, comment down below, and 3, just give us some love, man.
Give us a like, a comment, a share.
Anything.
Share it with your friends, your mama, your auntie, your uncle, your daughter, your son.
Yep.
I love grandmama.
I love grandmamas. I love my grandmama.
All right, last question.
Last one. This one's fun too.
Okay, if you had to create a cheer routine based off a movie, which movie would you choose and why?
So I had a hard time thinking about this question. But there's 2 that after really sitting with them, I thought of 2. 1, hear me out.
Okay.
Jaws. Because, throwback to Hot Shots a few years ago, Emmy was on Fierce 5, and you had to do a routine in like 30 minutes, and it was with your age group. And they did it to Baby Shark. And they literally did like some cool stunts, and they made a giant wave on the floor. And Emmy was in like a shoulder sit or a prep or something, and she was the shark, and she like jumped down. Like, it was so creative. Victor Rosario, Corey Hines, if you're watching this in your creative brain, Jaws would be good. Like a shark.
Flabbergasted.
That would be crazy. Crazy.
Jaws goes like way deeper than just like being on Cheer Extreme SSX, baby. Like, where their whole essence is sharkies.
Oh yeah. But and like, think about the words and the phrases you could use. Are you kidding me?
The voiceovers,
Jaws,
that would be sick.
Yeah. And like the way you can end it, like, come on. That would be kind of iconic.
I mean, like, I think I would like to do like a superhero movie or like a princess, like a true princess theme.
That would be fun.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
And just have like different Disney princesses.
That would
like,
be so fun.
Okay, I love a theme. I'm not crazy with the like the all out part of the theme.
I'm a subtle theme.
We are subtle theme girls. Yeah. So like every year our teams have had an essence or a theme to go along with it, but like we are not getting them the theme uniforms. No, unfortunately not. But we will give them like a little prop or like something that like they can have throughout the season that means something to them that they also use in the routine, and kind of just gives us a year to base off of. Like snipers was our like period slay routine. Pistols was our poof magic. Last year, AK3, we were the lucky girls, and honestly, AK3
lucky was, 3. Our lucky 3rd year together.
That was
so beautiful.
That was one of my like, besides pistols, like pistols was of its own like a special year, but like
it was a peak year for us.
AK3 like was an amazing season for us, and like even for all of those kids, like
I feel like
all those kids grew in like their confidence, and like just everything about that season was like very affirming into like what we're doing as coaches and to like what a lot of those kids are doing as athletes. And
we had to teach a lot of them to love cheer again because they didn't have like, or the year prior, or the outside factors that just cheer wasn't what they wanted to do anymore. Right. So when we taught them, we really had to change their mindset or give them something to want to come back to.
I agree. And like, I don't like tooting my own horn about this, but like we have done the work so much for our kids and for us that like we make our coaching duo like something that people want every year. Like, people want to stay.
People may not get the team that they want, but they're like, oh, but we have Kenzie and Gabby, we're good.
Right, I agree.
And they'll stay for us, which is so beautiful.
But yeah, other than that, I think I do a little
Yeah.
princess theme. I do a
Period.
little like maybe like a tiara attachment to a bow that you can like take
that's
off if you're a double
fun.
teamer, and like
Yeah.
I'd have like different like storybooks throughout each
Yeah.
session, and like
Fun.
like Rapunzel maybe,
Once upon a
or
time,
like
you thought
some-
you could beat me, or something like that. Like, oh, stop right
Don't
now.
steal it because I'm using it next year.
Trademarked.
Trademarked.
When we're back together, we're doing a princess theme.
So listen, if you use it before us, I will come for you. I will come for
We
you.
will find out.
Just kidding. I'm all
We
about
will find
peace,
out.
love.
World peace. Which actually, my next one was Legally Blonde. That was the other one.
Oh my god, that would be perfect.
So fun.
Made me want a hot dog
Real bad. It's like the 4th of July.
Like
But
the
that'd be
4th
so
of July,
fun.
like for a basket.
And like pink. Stop it right now. Bang and snap! Wait, that could be a motion.
Don't steal it. Don't steal it. We're using, oh my god, wait, that's way better
That
than
is
princesses.
so fun. Okay, but that would be.
But
fun.
everyone, that would be a thing where it's like,
Yeah, justice has been served.
Served.
With like a ponytail flip at the end. Are you kidding me?
Period.
That would be crazy.
and then we could have like a pink bow or something like that.
That would be so fun.
Wait.
Someone could be the little dog.
Wait, you should use that for pistols this year.
Maybe. They love the baddies idea.
Okay,
though.
they
love.
But like baddies is like kind of similar because like
Yeah.
oh, it's just a baddie.
That's true. That's
She did.
true.
She did the thing. Like she went to law school. I couldn't.
But
do
that would be fun.
Well, Coach Kenzie, it is about time that we wrap up our podcast here at the Cheer Chronicles.
We had so much fun.
We had so much fun. Rosie, thanks for letting us crash at your house and
Your house is
crash this little
lovely.
podcast. It's
Yeah.
a great time. I thoroughly enjoyed those ruffles. So if you find an empty bag in your cabinet, please make sure to throw that away. Regardless, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Share this podcast.
Yep.
It means a lot. Like we are so appreciative of
Yeah.
Rosie for allowing us to do this, and she works her butt off.
Yep.
She is a working mama as well. So give her
And this
all the love
this
she
process
deserves.
is so intense. There's so much that goes into it that people don't realize. So it is so important that you guys give them some love or acknowledge it or share, post on Facebook, post on Instagram, give them a little love on YouTube. But it is so important that you guys share so she can keep this going. And so we can come back for a part 2.
Period. So if you'd
Period.
like a part 2, comment down below.
Yeah.
If not, shh, be silent.
Just like.
Just like it. Just like it. Don't be silent.
You
okay?
can share on Facebook and like, but if you don't want us to come back, don't do anything other than that. Just
Yep.
a like in the comments.
Just like it.
Period.
With that being said, it's been real. It's been fun. But we're done.
Yeah.
And
Bye.
bye.
That was so fun.
What?